potential blind pick mid laner here for Longzhu. Talia often occupied this spot, but Orianna was another of the ones that you would consider. BDD's Orianna has been majestic this season. Definitely been one of his most important performers. So Corki will be looked over for the first round of the draft. I had a look in solo queue, and Crown predictably was spamming the Corki. Didn't seem like the solo queue results were working just yet, but it is a legacy pick for Crown and may be considered into the Orianna. So for now, Longzhu keeping it old school with the Orianna pick, and they will ban away the Talia, which of course Crown has shown great performance on as well.
I mean, the one that really repopularized that pick here in Korea for us during IM Gyeonggi, but will be taken off the board. We'll see what he wants to piece together. Two of his big ones already snatched up, and the Karma also not there for that just reliable, sustained matchup. Though the shields recently have been nerfed here on 7-12, but she's still very strong.
If you're wondering about the Jhin, feels like Prey is always kind of need to anchor primary initiator. Varus, Ashe have been his big picks in spring season. With Jhin being buffed, another utility or initiating AD carry with the Deadly Flourish means that Jhin makes a lot of sense, and like I mentioned, he has mastery on the champion. We'll need a pushing support probably to help him out, or may just go melee support and lose out on that push war against Ruler. The Gnar ban suggests a Renekton pick as the first pick on red side. Really the only scenario where you would ban Gnar is that Renekton match. I've seen it twice so far in Korea.
Could just look to get the support on the first pick and then save the top lane for the final. Try to get the counter matchup. Maybe they want to bait Cuvée into picking the Renekton himself.
The only reason you ban the Fiora here, it feels like Renekton versus Kled is what Samsung are opting into.
Okay.
If you ban Gnar on red side with first pick, definitely Renekton will be your first draft. We saw Smeb owning up the Rift yesterday, even in defeats on the Renekton. So will Cuvée just go for the Kled? The matchup kind of painted itself when you saw Fiora and Gnar banned away. So will be no surprises there if it is the Kled, but for now, they need something into the Orianna. For now, it will not be the Corki. I think in 2 weeks' time, Crown in this scenario will be picking Corki, but happy to jump onto the Victor, go to the late game team fights, and Kled almost certainly will be the draft from Samsung. Super, super standard from them.
Yeah, nothing but massive comfort here for the side of Samsung. Maybe if poor JJ had the Zyra for himself. Instead, Gorilla looking to maybe take that one for himself. You mentioned a pushing lane. Plenty of CC there as well. So it seems like this might just be the pick for them. But otherwise, the Victor coming through here for Crown, Gragas for Ambition. Samsung getting everything that they're perfectly comfortable with.
But you got to say, Longzhu also have a very standard and also comfortable comp for them. Zyra is someone who can, in the laning phase, help the Jhin push, and in the late game fights, the charge comes in, you ult behind the Kled, and suddenly it's a Kled alone. You can focus him down, goes a DPS build, so it makes sense in the context of the draft. Really interesting to see comfort on both sides, even 10 bans down the line. And that means that really it's going to be on the better team to perform, and I think also the jungling performance, because Renekton does have that advantage over Kled early. When these teams have top lane priority, they very much often go on to win. And when Ambition has to try and mop up Cuvée when he's behind, he starts to make some of those Ambition solo missions that can really cost Samsung Galaxy. So my eyes are going to be on Ambition, on Comfort on the Gragas, because and Khan have done so much work in the top lane. This may very well be decided in that 2v2.
We'll see how the jungle matchup's going to go. Veteran versus rookie, because it's been looking better and better as time goes on, along with the rest of the Longzhu squad, netting themselves potentially into third place if they can come up with a victory here in this match. Let's see if they can do it as we go ahead and get ready to dive in for game number one. A great way to kick off the day, Samsung Galaxy versus Longzhu Gaming. Longzhu fans out here today.
And you know who they have to cheer about, Achilles? They have BDD, who this season is putting on an insane, I can't even find the right adjective here, but an unbelievable season when it comes to statistics. BDD this season is #1 in kills with 87, has the lowest amount of deaths in 18 and 20 games. Less than 1 death a game on a mid laner is pretty insane. Number 1 in KDA, which we know at 11.4. But for context, number 2 is Score at 6.5. He almost doubles second place in KDA, and he's 3rd in kill participation. So he's been making things happen for the team as well. BDD is having an almost unparalleled season statistically. At least for the first round robin, even with a down performance here, that much will be true. But he's going to really want to turn it into a great full season and also a postseason because, like you say, Longzhu Gaming with a win here are entrenched in the top 3.
Well, if he can make his way through Victor in that mid lane, nice little drawing of prey there in the audience. But if he can make his way through Crown's Victor in the mid lane, he's got plenty of ball carriers here to set him up to extend that KDA even further. The Lee Sin diving into the backside of these fights. So Renekton slicing and dicing his way through. See, a very hard leash is going to come out here from Samsung.
Invaded on the bottom side trying to get information and just backed away. So they don't actually have deep wards, whereas deep wards were able to be put down by Longzhu. That means that Longzhu have more information about Gragas' pathing than necessarily Samsung does about Longzhu's. Renekton enters lane a little bit late, so they can kind of infer that the top side start coming on the red buff there. It seems like Crown has a small issue to start the day.
Have to get this one figured out, get that taken care of so we can get the game underway. So far, nothing's happened.
But on paper, it's so cool, right? I mean, we talked about all BDD stats. Well, guess what? Crown is our regular season MVP from the spring season. Crown versus BDD is an exciting matchup, for sure. Getting a bit of an update here that there's a game-related bug, so maybe a client bug for Crown, so that might actually just force a restart or delay us a little bit.
Yeah, perhaps. Might have to dive back into this one. See if we have to get a remake. Perhaps. Hopefully it's nothing that severe, and we can just go ahead, disconnect him, reconnect him into the game, and have it all taken care of.
Sounds like it's going to be a restart coming through from Crown, so he'll be able to get back into the game soon. Hopefully Achilles, none of them remakes. It's like Longzhu has just a slight advantage with given that information at level 1, and last we saw Cuz was making a beeline for the enemy blue buff. Yeah, BDD versus Crown, definitely a sick matchup. We already highlighted the AD carries also, which is going to be a fun one. Getting a bit more information
here. Seems like Crown had an issue with his skill selection, wasn't allowing him to actually take the ability that he wanted.
That's weird.
So that is.
It is patch 7.12, Achilles.
It's a bit of a bizarre one, but every time these patches come out, a bit more spaghetti gets tossed into the mix, then you just have to kind of strain it out.
Hopefully we can turn it into a lovely carbonara, Achilles.
Yeah, maybe.
What's your spaghetti choice? If you have to really choose your spaghetti.
I mean, you mean like just pasta in general,
sure.
Or? I don't know. Well, I mean, there's that restaurant near my house that's actually makes incredible pasta here in Korea, and I've really been favoring their bolognese. They do.
Oh, you're a bolognese, man. Okay.
That one's pretty good.
Well, they're going to end up swapping blue buffs here. I mentioned already the blue buff invade from Cuz. Ambition, with his veteran status, makes the smart read that, hey, we didn't get vision down, they did, so just invade. So right now, vertical jungling, which allows Renekton to overextend. Allows him to really pressure in Kled in the top side because Lee Sin is solo jungling on the top side of the map. So big advantage to Longzhu. So they get a naturally pushing lane, and it can play as recklessly as Longzhu wants to play.
Well, reckless. Sounds like a pretty big comfort zone there for Khan. He's just been going all out in his picks as of late. So no Mordekaiser to start things off here. Like I said, I thought maybe they would just try to hand over the Renekton to Samsung, try to bait them into picking that, so we see the Mordekaiser come back out. But
I mean,
maybe in the rest of the series.
Here's what I'll say about the Mordekaiser, because obviously super exciting to see Mordekaiser back in the meta, not since what, Worlds 2015?
2015.
Have
when
we
it was
seen
must pick, must ban.
Yeah, when it was just broken, ridiculous duo laner.
Same with Gangplank and Darius.
What times that was. We're going to gank bot side.
Yeah, probably going to have to flash away from this one, so those concussive blows do not get proc. Roll the barrel from Ambition, not going to connect. In the meantime, Cuz is hunting here onto Crown.
Crown smartly playing towards the bot side because that vertical jungling, that's where their control is.
They're pushing out. They will go ahead and get the Ghost. Just steps to the side. Sonic Wave won't connect. He got one auto.
Cuz got an extra level, so he'll feel good about that one. Credit to Samsung playing around their strong side and getting a flash when Longzhu weren't able to get that sort of advantage around the mid lane. Ghost for flash, certainly a good trade on the side of Samsung. But Cuz is still here, and this time coming to the side that previously was owned by Ambition.
Now Crown is cheating towards the top side, but he will be wrapping around from behind. Sonic Wave's going to connect this time. Crown will flash, so gets both summoner spells out. So advantage over to Longzhu in the end.
Yeah, creative pathing from Cuz as well. Just played around the side that on the one hand looked strong for Samsung, but Samsung also knew that Gragas was pathing around the Krugs, so wasn't actually going to be there for the 2v2. Nice little adaptation as Crown's bought a second Doran's Ring, Achilles.
Oh my. There's no... You can't do that.
Well, you can.
It doesn't stack.
I mean, he still gets ability power health.
It's a unique passive. Crown, please.
Building 3 of them in the top lane is certainly bad. Building 2 of them in the mid lane is certainly worse than before, but it gives you health and ability power, and if you don't die to Ignite Tick or get through a gank, it's still valid. So definitely worse than it was before, but
yeah,
still an option is what we're learning.
We're not going to be seeing the budget run of it. Well, at least hopefully not. But, I mean, awkward back timings here for Crown. Forced out of that lane, doesn't have enough to go ahead and get his Hex Core upgrade, so just has to go for the best thing that he can buy. Just happens to be not great.
As you say, definitely a feel-bad choice, especially with Victor, who always has item slot problems because he has a Hex Core already.
Yeah.
So before, at least you got the full value out of the passive. Now, once again, you don't have that passive. Is a nice trade coming through for Cupid.
Yeah, really good ones. He will get dismounted here, though, as Khan just retreats back below the turret. One final buckshot in the back. Will work down the alligator rather low, but it seems like Khan will be able to go ahead and recall safely. Has the TP to get back in the lane swiftly.
Lane's been a tale of 2 ganks. We can't see how close BDD is to 6, but probably not too far away. Okay, here we go.
Coming through, Cuz coming in from the sideline. Shockwave does come down. It looks like Crown will die. First blood. Over to Cuz yet again, visiting the mid lane.
But BDD was taking no chances. We were mentioning he's probably close 6, hit 6, and then actually used the ball on himself, self-ulted as well. So successful sombrero coming through from BDD with the flash. Used everything, but didn't want there to be any chance of Crown getting out. First advantage to Longzhu Gaming.
Yeah, going to be a nice little opening here to start things off. Already 800 in the lead. Decent CS lead up here in the top lane as well as in mid, where Crown is really suffering as far as that CS is concerned. 14 down at the moment. So really good stuff from Longzhu. Need to keep this ball rolling. Make sure that Samsung can't recover if they want to close this one out.
Cuz and Ambition meeting in Longzhu's side of the jungle. Everyone just getting a bit of an information mission going on. Longzhu with the advantage. They don't have to respect Victor, who's just now respawning. But it's just again to, we have a moment, discuss the Mordekaiser. I don't think it's a counter pick to Renekton. I think it just deals with what Renekton does best, which is push, and push so cleanly and with almost no counterplay to that pushing. Not many top lanes, especially with Rumble being nerfed on 7-12, have the pushing power to stop a Renekton taking over lane. One thing that Mordekaiser does have is pushing power. So I think in the pressure world of standard lanes, it makes a lot of sense, but it's not a counter pick per se. It's mid lane.
BDD going to get jumped on. Flash body slam comes through. Cask will knock him into the wall, and the Chaos Storm will go ahead and finish him off.
One more
forward here from Cuz does come up with that kill, so he makes it a 1-for-1. Summoner spells invested on both sides. Even exchange in the end.
Good read by Cuz to be in the mid lane. They knew, of course, Samsung, that BDD had just used his flash, wouldn't have it. Thought they could get an answering kill during the duration, but it just ends up being Crown's second death in that duration. He picks up the kill credit. So you could say BDD does lose out overall, given that Cuz picked up first blood and second blood for Longzhu Gaming, but this is what happens when you see second versus fourth. There's no free advantages for teams. Lots of repeat ganks. Still pressure overall to Longzhu, but Samsung will be happy that some of the gold went to Crown. Not enough to pick up the Hex Core.
Yeah, I was going to say, even then, he doesn't have anything other than those Ionian boots of lucidity coming through for himself, so still not going to have a whole lot of power behind this Victor, and he's fallen slightly further behind in CS. Blue buff will be handed over to him to help him out just a bit more, especially with farming up with those death rays.
Despite having Ambition jungling around the bot side, Ruler has not been able to open up a CS advantage over Prey. 8 CS, or I guess 8 CS, just over a minion wave as these 2 minion waves come to crash, but certainly nothing significant given that Prey used his flash early and had to respect Gragas jungling on his side. So just the fact that you can go for utility carry, get through lane, and pretty significant butts overall to the Jin, who after level 1 does more damage on his Q at all points, and R has a buff as well.
Shockwave comes through, drags Ground back in, and Cuz is there for the follow-up. Ground just walking straight into that one Ambition on the opposite side of the river, cannot collapse to try to save his mid laner's life.
And Cuz just finally establishing himself a reputation. Khan, very early, was touted as one of these top laners after some consistent performances in big games. BDD, he's got the stats. Everyone knows about BDD. Cuz was the one people weren't sure of, but you need to give time for a true rookie to get used to the stage that is League of Legends Champions career, and Cuz 3-0 running an early game is an important extra step in his development.
Yeah. I mean, he's shutting out the second place, one of the second place tied MVPs at the moment in Crown, who is just one win behind BDD, currently topping the charts. So really solid stuff coming through here from the rookie out of the jungle. Maybe looking at an MVP win for himself as well.
Early days in this game yet, but when you look at the comps, there is some equality in the scaling. Maybe a slight advantage to Samsung just because Longzhu do have the Jin in the late game, who is strong, but only really when fights are on his terms. If Jin has to move, Jin isn't getting burst down, not going to be as consistent as Ruler. Samsung do have a really strong late game 5v5, but getting to the late game with the pace that Longzhu has set is going to be tricky. So given the fact that we have some degree of equality in the late game and pretty similar team identities, it's really exciting to see how this particular game develops.
As yet again pushing through, Ambition goes forward with the body slam. Gets quite a bit of damage down. That's going to be the resonating strike coming through. Pops him over into the wall, and Core JJ can't quite get there in time to offer up the winner's bite to try to lock down that Lee Sin. So he will be able to walk away. Was flashless, so no summoner spells used up either in the exchange.
Got the call that Ruler and Core JJ were coming up, and was told before the match that Gorilla is suffering some medical issues today, specifically a little throat condition. So the shot calling for Longzhu is going to be a bit interesting to track, given that he's usually one of the big voices there. Just a small thing to keep in mind as the game goes on is that Cuz probably does have to anchor more of the calls, given that Gorilla for today's series is going to be a little bit incapacitated.
Sounds like a nightmare for you and I. Sore throat.
Oh,
the ever-feared...
The killer of the caster. It's, I believe for players it's the wrist injuries, right?
Yeah.
For casters, it is definitely throat injuries.
Yeah, I think it's wrist injuries and then mental boom are the two that can ruin a player.
I don't know if that's in the DSM just yet, for diagnostic criteria, the mental boom, but...
I saw it on a WebMD.
Okay, well then it must be true.
Yeah.
I saw it on Yahoo Answers. That's where I go for my medical advice.
As far as WebMD, it's you know, for pro players, it just says, like, it's either going to be mental boom or cancer, because everything on WebMD says that you might probably have cancer. It's a weird website.
It is indeed. WebMD. It is the future. Got Wikipedia and WebMD to answer all of life's questions.
Yeah. It's like, I think I have an ingrown hair. It's like, yep, that's you have cancer. It's the way it goes.
Now Samsung are dealing with Cuz, running the game like we mentioned. Red buff stolen away. Was no information. A lot of wards had to be respected there for Cuz, but only now will they get the information. Waiting to see the build path for Prey in this game. BS Sword Star.
Oh, body slam not going to connect. Cuz trying to slow him up here. Dashes back in. Has to kick back. BDD's hair. Auto attack comes through. Picks up the kill. Now Shockwave connecting in onto Crown. Does have to flash still to take himself out safely. Makes it out with his life, but yet again, Longzhu, they put another kill on the board, 4-1.
They grow up in front of our eyes so fast, Achilles. Cuz with no cares at all about ambition, happy to get in there and tussle 1v1. BDD had his back, and speaking of having people's backs, Longzhu want this mid lane turret right now.
Yeah, they're just going to be pushing him away. Cuvée is here to try to back him up. It seems like they'll just be able to force this one out, so first Brick going over to the flashboard, finds the stun on the Crown. They go in with a resonating strike, and Cuz has another kill for himself. 100% kill participation, 4-0-1 on the Lee Sin, and Longzhu's not done yet. They're looking for more. Maybe even to just dive in onto Cuvée, a bit riskier. They will at least be able to get a significant amount of damage onto this tier 2 turret in mid, halfway dead.
And now Victor will have to overextend for farm at every point. And when I was trying to equate the teams, because you remember I was talking about, okay, Ambition and Cuz, they rely on strong top laners. They're going to have to play through the strength of their top laner. Didn't even need that as bot lane. CoreJJ, they're turning on to the Jin.
That's going to be the last shot coming through. Does find Gorilla even after he flashes. So Ruler able to answer one here. Puts another kill on the board for Samsung. 2-5 in that regard, but down significantly in gold at the moment. Not in a position really to try to get onto this turret yet.
Prey with a good read, understands that Ambition is around the top side. No need for him to back in such a greedy spot. He'll go back. Samsung needed something going their way. Prey really is looking for a call. Cuz is here again, by the way.
Yeah, Prey actually does stick around. Doesn't have really any mana. At least offer up a Deadly Flourish and some of those auto attacks, but seems like he's going to be safe to go ahead and catch this wave, and then he can match recalls with Ruler. Just going to be a couple seconds behind.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would be the 2v2, but it's just Cuz deciding the game. They've played around the top side with the vertical jungling, which is the first good decision. We'll see a replay of what happened here, and it was just a really good all-in from CoreJJ. Hit the Glacial Fissure, nowhere for Gorilla to go. He will die. No bonus objectives, though. No turret compared to the mid lane turret that's already been taken down by Longzhu.
I mean, 1.5, really. So
returning to the half is going to take a bit of time, but when it comes to that damage, it is going to be a factor as the game goes on.
You get a Rift Herald.
Rift Herald for now. One control ward around there, and Khan has had lane pressure predictably over Kled, about 24 CS up. Ambition in these scenarios is where Ambition isn't the same player that's been dominating in Samsung's 7-1 run. Is much worse when his laners don't have priority. When exiting into Kled, that's always going to be priority Khan. Cuz is having a day out as well. So Ambition having to make decisions without strong lanes to back him up is where there's those question marks. We call them the Ambition solo missions. We're going to have to try and watch to see if he can make the right movements, because Cuz has been everywhere he's needed to be on the map in the first 15 minutes.
BDD starting to shoot down towards that bottom side of the map. Has all that roam potential for himself here. Plenty of free time now that that turret's been taken for him in mid. Doesn't find the opening down there though, so we'll go ahead. Keep farming up, but maybe we see that next Drake opened up here by Longzhu. The first Cloud Mountain has now spawned.
Jin's returned to his classic build as Prey. Will be going Essence Reaver compared to the Yomu's Ghostblade that we were seeing in the first two games of Jin on 7-12.
Maybe we'll get the double rapid fire again.
In case you guys are wondering, I did some research on that after seeing it. You see it one game, you're like, maybe you made a mistake. When you see it 2 games in a row, you're like, okay, Def knows about item stacking. And basically, it's the Energize passive, where you get Energize 25% faster does stack if you buy 2 rapid fire cannons. The idea was more ranged auto attacks rather than being at the normal range. Now, is it the right choice? That part's left open for debate, but it wasn't just a brain fade from Def.
It doesn't help you when you're face checking, pushing in.
No, exactly. So whatever item choice there wasn't going to make a difference. That was just Deft with the mental boom you were speaking of.
Oh well. There's always another telecom war, KT.
In a month. You guys have a look. It's the last week of the season. Full schedules out there on esports wikis and places like that. So that will be an OGN telecom war. We were both at home wishing we were casting it yesterday.
Oh, but I had such fun watching it all the same,
baby,
time.
That's no fun.
Okay, Gorilla, he'll just get popped up, gets taken down. Curtain call coming through here for
He's going to hit all these, isn't he?
Can he get this?
Ooh.
No, can't quite bend the bullet around Ruler. He will body block this, but now BDD is in the vicinity. Winter's Spite not going to connect. Flashes in. You see the damage coming in onto Ruler. Jukes back on the Deadly Flourish, but one final movement will take him down. BDD
Here comes the
come up with
cavalry.
kill, and now the pinch is really coming through. Ambition going to get jumped on. Still has the explosive cast. Will toss it out. Saves CoreJJ's life.
And Longzhu invests a lot of people and get nothing in the top side or the mid. Victor pushing in mid, Kled pushing in top. They're going to get this one turret, try and make more happen with the Rift Herald.
Going to try to go ahead and interrupt this one at the top side. Rift Herald goes through, gets the charge. They will be able to finish off this turret with the help of Prey.
Good use of the Rift Herald, given that Prey is, of course, not going to have the best turret pushing ability on the Jin. And you're right, they don't lose the turret in top lane. Didn't even click for me that Kana just made the walk down, didn't use teleport to be in the enemy red side jungle. Smart roam, used teleport to answer, but it does mean Cuvée has a big window of having a teleport advantage. Had a lot of action this game.
It has been. It's very much like we saw from the Telecom War yesterday. Plenty of action. And then you take the first series from yesterday, and there was just not that much of it.
Gotta say that I'm kind of dreading this new Corki meta that thankfully isn't enacted in this particular game. So no Corki draft, despite being a decent pick for both teams here. I have a feeling that might put a bit of paid to the early game action. Corki's all about early game not dying. That's future sadness for us to talk about, I guess.
But maybe it gets more Zed, which is okay.
Yeah.
Zed hasn't really been a pick for a while now. Haven't seen him in a decent amount of time, and he was always the big counter to that Corki.
Always the big pick for BDD.
So I can at least be halfway excited about Corki coming back in, as long as people still bring out the Zed.
And that's kind of the fun thing of patch notes, that some champions get hugely buffed, like Corki was, having 80% magic damage crits with Infinity Edge coming soon. That's going to be the build, by the way, guys. You got to go Infinity Edge to abuse getting crit for 500 magic damage trivially. But the fun thing, like you mentioned, is whenever a champion gets buffed, and clearly will be in the meta, just like Zac, for example, in the past, and also that Corki, you get to play that game of, wait, what was Corki bad against the last time we saw him? What will be in the meta because of a champion being strong? And you're right, any more invitations for someone like Zed to come into the meta is happy times.
Yep. It's not top talent. It's the one thing I don't want to see ever again.
Well, we made it through a telecom, well, 2 telecom wars now if you include the final without a top talent. So we're in good stead for that to be a thing of the past.
I think that Smeb wholeheartedly regrets that one.
Cuz is made lane again.
Yeah, he's coming in, looking for Crown. We'll just go ahead and force out the Ghost just by appearing. Doesn't even have to throw that Sonic Wave.
Just thinking about the kick flash, but thought better of it. Was going in too deep, and they don't have vision around the top side. Ragas lurking.
Probably would have just been a flash for flash. But for now, Longzhu still maintaining control. Gold lead hasn't grown that much. As of late, Samsung still do have quite a lot of standing gold because they have not been able to match a single turret yet.
They have an insane lead through the mid lane, though. 4 deaths onto Crown already. Means that his build is, as you can see in the emergency stages, when all you have atop a perfect hex score is an Aether Wisp at 21 minutes. Lets you know that you're trying to get the best you can.
There's boots there.
And 2 of the Dorans that don't stack, you're right. There are things, but on the side of BDD, he is decked with items.
Has been looking great.
Oh,
coming
baby!
In here, kicks him to the side. Deadly Flourish there, perfectly lined up to get that
sick.
final root. And now, one more shot. Not quite going to finish off Core JJ, but Gorilla is there to scoop it up. And just like that, Longzhu, but 2 more on the board. 3 to 8. Looking for more, and he can't even believe it.
He is inventive with his Lee Sin play, super good. And guess what? Prey still hasn't missed a shot of his ultimate. He was always one of the best at the curtain call, but this will be the curtain called on the outer top lane turret. Longzhu is just having a day out, and they are still a treat to watch.
This is absolutely insane from the side of Longzhu. Now pushing and threatening out this tier 2. Prey's by himself. We'll get another look at this one.
Just watch the replay here. So he flashes over both of the ultimate and the Q. No way for Core JJ to anticipate he would flash the Winter's Bite. Gets in there. Prey hits every shot, as always, on the Jhin. And holy crap, man. Longzhu can do this against anyone, although
that's going to be Cuz getting jumped on. Concussive blows will be proc. Dashes to the side. But it will get locked down in the end. Chaos Storm ticking away as Crown pushes in. They will kill Cuz, handing him his first death, getting that shutdown going over as Core JJ claims the final hit.
The greedy recall was his undoing finally, Achilles. 22 minutes in, they won't be able to turn on to Baron, but sort of mistake he'll have to review on the VOD and not make. You get one of those, Cuz, after a game like that. You'll accept that particular mistake, but you can see it's not just a single mistake, right? It's not just a kill that's going to let down the team. It is also going to be out of top lane turret going down, so a bit more standing gold. Very much needed for the side of Samsung Galaxy. Try and get them back in the game.
Yeah. 5,000 down just about here at the moment. And being a part of that shutdown should help Crown finally put an item in his inventory that's not just an Aether Wisp.
And Crown's looking at BD's items and smiling because he sees the double magic penetration that Crown always loves to go, especially when he's ahead, going for Sorcerer's Shoes and the Haunting guys. The next, the Shockwave at 23 minutes is going to be one of the biggest we've ever seen, Achilles, because he's actually stacking on the early effectiveness items. He has Liandry's, Luden's Echo, one of the biggest one-item power spikes. He has the haunting guys as well, double magic penetration, so they need to respect the early game fights like you don't even need to usually against Orianna, one of the biggest Oriannas we've seen in a 23-minute match. And that means they have priority around every objective. Ambition can only watch as Longzhu piles on different objectives to their game.
So solid from these guys so far. Baron not yet really being contested because there's an Infernal Drake on the way. And it's still a bit early on here, but vision control at the moment is in the hands of Samsung for that Baron pit. Just to make sure that they do have some sights on it and that Longzhu can't try to sneak things away. It'd be a very slow one for them. So they'd have to disappear for quite a long time.
Samsung, you know, it feels like we're back to 2016 spring. Samsung of trying to play it for the late game, trying to just absolve. We've mentioned they have very good late game team fighting options. Samsung already against Everate fell into a really big hole and had to just rely on 6-item Caitlyn from Ruler. We're not quite there yet, but it does feel like we're approaching another one of those scenarios. It's really nothing's gone well, apart from Kled being able to farm out pretty decently against Renekton in the first 25 minutes or so.
Finally shutting down the Lee Sin. That's about it, though. Tier 2 in mid, possibly about to be under siege as Khan wraps around from the bottom side.
Some control wards around their jungle, so it's not all lost for Samsung just yet.
Gravity Field thrown down, just to try to lock these minions up, keep them nice and condensed for the wave clear to come through.
The turret they prepped earlier, but Jin, not the best turret taker, can't walk up. BDD, can't walk up. Have to respect the cask and flash available from Ambition, so only inching forward compared to the big strides they've been making previously.
This is where things could start to open up a bit more here for Samsung if Longzhu can't keep their foot on the pedal.
Lichbane Rush, actually the choice from Crown. His first big item. Does mean he's going to have a lot of instant burst and just rely on, say, Kled and Caitlyn to get that first auto attack and get the first kill, and then 5v4. It'll give them options. It's not the other choices we've seen. It's not a standard first big item after Hex Core, but at least it means Victor will do something. He will do burst on a budget that wouldn't be possible if you went a more conventional item.
I mean, it's Crown, so I fully trust his choice as far as items are concerned on this one.
But it's also Crown, and you notice he doesn't have Leandries, so you're not sure, Achilles.
That's also true.
Whatever the champion, even if it's Karma, the man loves his Leandries torment.
I don't know what to think anymore.
But this is usually the part of the game where Khan has to be at least a little bit fearful of the Kled. We're not going to watch those trades any longer, but things get less one-sided in the top lane matchup around the 26-minute mark, 2 items being complete.
Stacking up some armor at the moment, looking for that Warden's Mail by the look of things to come through. So we'll be able to mitigate quite a bit of that damage coming through there from Cuvée.
Control wards and green wards, sight wards I should say, keep getting pushed up. So far, pretty good vision around the Baron. No control wards in the inventory though, apart from Gorilla having one. Means that there's going to be less areas of zone control available for Longzhu, so maybe another shopping trip before Baron can be the objective. They really want to pick up right now. Baron damage is decent, but Jin, one of his specialities, more about turning off Baron. They're going to start it, but there is enough information for Samsung. They know what's up.
Gorilla walking around here, trying to gate them out of this, or is that the Strangledoors to try to knock up Ambition?
Finish
will
it.
do so, and that will be the Baron finished off by Longzhu. Nicely done by them. We'll see where they're going to put their attention. Seems like it's going to be that mid lane with the waves already crashing up, and it's knocked down to about half. You can get Prey in underneath this turret. Should be able to kill it rather quickly with those crit shots coming through, yeah.
And now you got the Baron buff. Now, as you say, the Jin can walk up. This is the scenario that Samsung fell in against Everate, but Longzhu are a much better team than Everate, so giving up another 20 to 30-minute Baron, something Samsung has been guilty of pretty reliably, could be punished with the base being broken. And that would be exactly the sort of advantage Longzhu need to start getting in position to ice the game.
I mean, they go ahead and take out 2 inner turrets, just the top lane remaining. There's an Infernal Drake on the way in a minute and a half, and that would be a 4th stack for an Elder Dragon.
Really
that
curious.
Would be spawning not too long from now.
A really curious item choice from Ambition, rushing Randuin's in the early game. Saw the double Ruby Crystals and knew where he was going, but he's probably going to die to Orianna in a couple of spell rotations, and the only critical strike is going to be Jin, who doesn't do reliable crits. Sure, the 4th shot, but apart from that, not big on the crit damage. So for that being the best tank itemization in his scenario, I find a bit surprising.
I thought maybe we were going to find out exactly what you were questioning there. But Ambition not going to get caught out by BDD.
Because a lot of the power was put in crit strike reduction. Health and armor total is actually pretty low on the Randuin's Omen, so you kind of have to be abusing the unique passive it provides. And it doesn't feel like in this particular game it was the right rush item.
A bit of an odd choice, but now Samsung in full recovery mode, just trying to maintain these waves, stop them from crashing into these few remaining turrets that they have. Try to hold on to the vestiges of their base. We can see already just have to kite back away from the pressure of these Baron-empowered minions being shoved up into the top lane. In the meantime, the rest of Samsung going to try to pinch down in onto Khan.
They're open up onto Ruler, though.
Up. First shot connects. Can they find more? Second, third, not going to hit. Does go wide, and Khan almost winning this 1v2. Goes back in, turns it around, does make it a 1-for-1 as he takes down Crown yet again, burning out both of his summoner spells and still dying. In the meantime, Longzhu breaking open the base of Samsung, get rid of that inhibitor in the top side of the map. And now they can just go ahead, back off, pick up the Infernal Drake, and look to close out the game.
And you can see what Jin provides that Ashe does not in a scenario like that, where they can open up, and it's not just the arrow to be dodged. Flash is not usually enough against Jin because he has the deadly flourish. He has the multiple shots of the ultimate. And even with the crit reduction, Ambition had to hang back. They lose the 1-for-1 in the bot lane. This is getting to panic stations for the side of Samsung Galaxy.
Oh, I think we're well beyond that. This is a monstrous deficit that they find themselves in at the moment. 9.3 thousand gold down.
We're going to get to see this again. We didn't watch the full engage. Moment the Crown started walking in, which was always going to be a attempted all-in from the side of Samsung Galaxy. So much damage on Khan. Low levels on Crown. The turn as he died. One tick of the Dominus and the W enough to get the 1-for-1. Definitely just amps up or the bad feelings for the victor. Now 1-5-2. And Longzhu got the objective they were looking for during that Baron buff. About to expire now on a couple of members for Longzhu.
Yeah. Crown just trying to push those waves back. Super creeps get ready to come piling down from the top lane. Still just has that Lich Bane. Blasting one in the inventory will turn into a Void Staff, so getting a bit more power, but it seems like it's going to be too little too late at the moment here for the side of Samsung. 4 buffs coming through on Longzhu, so even if they just have to delay, wait for that Elder Dragon, as long as they pick it up, there's no real way for Samsung to try to fight them.
Ray walking up, taking the autos. Renekton bringing in the minion wave from bot. At least the super minions aren't pushing into the base just yet, but Longzhu won another turret.
You're looking for it, wave clear. Still very strong here from the side of Samsung.
Oh, misses.
There's just nothing that they can do to try to break this one. BDD will miss the shockwave, as you say, and Longzhu yet again just going to be pushing in.
They're still walking up. Maybe this is the best chance. Samsung thinks so too.
That's going to be the charge coming in onto Cuvee. Jumps onto Khan. And Cuz seems like he's going to be the target. Bear trap on a rope. Does find him. They lock him in. He goes down. Chaos Storm in onto Gorilla. Pops him out. We'll see if Longzhu can turn this one around, as Khan's still very far forward in the front lines. Only takes about half of his HP in damage. Another curtain call gets opened up here by Prey. Finding his shots in onto Ambition. Final one connecting in onto Cuvee, 666 damage. Will chunk him out. It's going to be that 2-for-1 in favor of Samsung. They hold on to the inhibitor.
Yeah, Longzhu got greedy. The ultimate missed, and Samsung realized this is the best chance we're ever going to have in this game of not just dying due to super minions from multiple waves, making us have no good options. Gorilla gets popped. He's on Zyra. That part makes sense. But Victor goes down. Renekton buys a lot of time. Sure, it's not a whitewash of Longzhu, but it was a good decision from Samsung to make the best of what is clearly a bad situation.
It's still just a feel-bad moment for Crown here. 2-6-2 on his most famed pick with that Victor.
I mean, Cuz smashed him. It does feel a bit like Blank's performance shutting down Septit's Victor in the series against SKT, because Cuz just followed the standard jungler's playbook. What did we learn through our many years of solo queue is if you ever blow a flash, go back to that lane and profit. And they got so many kills around the mid lane during the first time that flash was down, killed him through flash. He wasn't even able to flash on the turret dive. Crown needs to have pressure because Samsung need pressure in one of their solo lanes. Well, on Core JJ, the only lane they had with pressure. And Crown, unfortunately, just fell further and further behind. as Ambition predictably just really couldn't change anything with where the game was at around 10 to 15 minutes.
Well, I'm learning just don't play Victor if there's a Lee Sin on the enemy team. Seems like that's going to be the remedy for it. Curtain call opened up here. Trying to find Ruler. Won't quite be able to get access to him. Where JJ does have that Unbreakable ready to go. The
They're rolling into Jin.
Yeah, Cube is going to try to get the charge in, but Prey is long gone. Not going to be able to find that now.
All alone.
Locking down onto Khan, but the Explosive Cask is not going to connect, and the Slice and Dice takes him out to safety. Now Cube maybe in the spot of Bother as the stun comes through. Deadly Flourish. They'll lock him in. They'll kick him back. He goes big, but he gets hopped off of Scarl, and he goes down to the end as Prey finds the kill. Ruler with the ace in the hole will not find the connection and has to go ahead and back off from that one. Longzhu will just peel back, pick up this Baron as he spawns.
Yeah, it's a freebie for the side of Longzhu game. They turn onto the Baron. No reason for anyone from Samsung to walk out. They have no chance of picking up the steal. Baron buff on top of all the buffs. They even picked up an Inferno earlier to amp up the damage from Prey, who, just like all the Corki mid laners are feeling happy, him seeing the Jin bus means another utility carry that fits what Longzhu need from the AD carry position, and Prey's champion pool just got better.
Yep. So, yet again, very strong here on the Jin 104 for him. Nearing towards that 6-item spot to spend all of his gold. So, still a ways away. Still looking pretty good here. Because they don't really need Prey to close this one out. As long as BDD lands the Shockwave, that's pretty much all she wrote.
Taking turret's still not easy, so at some point, it is going to have Prey pull back, open up, and try to look for a dive. The minion waves aren't in great spots, and, well, Samsung's going in.
Good charge here from QV because just dashes over the walls, so that's not going to be finding too much here. For the Samsung SWAT, as long as she just goes ahead and kites back the shield from BDD, more than enough to eat all of the damage and then some from that ace in the hole. So Prey stays topped up. Wave being moved down to the bottom lane where that inhibitor is still exposed by Khan.
Now he brings up the minion waves, and that's why Longzhu will also start pushing up here. This is the spot for them to try and do things. Nexus is in the base.
Pushing in BDD here to back him up.
Still no auto attacks you'll see onto the inhibitor. That's the part where things get tricky for Longzhu without a pick.
That's right, this cannon minion's going to get it eventually. Never mind. This cannon minion's going to get it eventually.
Trying to buy as much space as possible. That big critical strike means that Prey will get that inhibitor.
Take this one down, now just rotating back up towards the mid side. Waves very far away in the top lane, so can't really pressure that one out, but now Prey's going to open up with the curtain call, trying to find the shots in on the Ruler. Finds the second, third onto QV, fourth and final. Where is it going to go? It's going to go ahead and hit one of the tanks, so just kind of scraping at the armor, won't find much, but now Baron-empowered minions being moved into the bottom side of the map, soon to be super creeps. As those work their way down the lane, and the rest of Longzhu goes over Prey, trying to crit these ones out. Shockwave going to come through, and Ambition's the first one to fall, despite the flash being used, he's going to go down. Does just take quite a bit of damage. Stays alive, at least for the moment, and the rest of the squad is just piling in. The turret falls, 2 members dead, Ruler and Crown both taken out. Cube going down as well for 4 as Core JJ, the lone member of Samsung, will limp his way back into the fountain. But Longzhu, they want the finish right here, 37.5 minutes, 15-8, and a massive gold lead for them. They will close out game 1. And they look so very strong to move into that third place spot over KT Rolster.
And we've been trying to ground our expectations of this young Longzhu roster every time they hit the Rift. They lose some of the top teams. How will they rebound against the bottom teams? Well, 2-0 victories pretty consistently. Increasingly, when they get these hard matchups, they shape up, they play smartly. We see the same Longzhu against Samsung that we saw weeks ago in some of the easier matchups for them against, say, MVP or Rocks Tigers. Cuz was the star of this game. His game on the Lee Sin, really putting his team on his back. Huge start meant the Crown could never get items. Those late game team fights where they should have been able to stall with Caitlyn Victor, some of the biggest wave clear and turn abilities on those champions. The oomph wasn't there because Crown was so far behind. Really solid stuff from Longzhu Gaming. And people always talk about excitement about teams. Can't help but get a bit excited about Longzhu Gaming.
Really strong performance from them. And one that's probably going to mentally shock Crown a little bit here, losing on his staple pick with that Victor.
Potential blind pick mid laner here for Longzhu. Talia often occupied this spot, but Orianna was another of the ones that you would consider. BDD's Orianna has been majestic this season, Definitely been one of his most important performers. So Corki will be looked over for the first round of the draft. I had a look in solo queue, and Crown predictably was spamming the Corki. Didn't seem like the solo queue results were working just yet, but it is a legacy pick for Crown and may be considered into the Orianna. So for now, Longzhu keeping it old school with the Orianna pick, and they will ban away the Talia, which of course Crown has shown great performance on as well.
I mean, the one that really repopularized that pick here in Korea for us during IM Gyeonggi, but will be taken off the board. We'll see what he wants to piece together. Two of his big ones already snatched up, and the Karma also not there for that just reliable, sustained matchup. Though the shields recently have been nerfed here on 7-12, but she's still very strong.
If you're wondering about the Jhin, feels like Prey is always kind of need to anchor primary initiator. Varus, Ashe have been his big picks in spring season. With Jhin being buffed, another utility or initiating AD carry with the Deadly Flourish means that Jhin makes a lot of sense, and like I mentioned, he has mastery on the champion. We'll need a pushing support probably to help him out, or may just go melee support and lose out on that push war against Ruler. The Gnar ban suggests a Renekton pick as the first pick on red side. Really the only scenario where you would ban Gnar is that Renekton matchup. We've seen it twice so far in Korea.
Could just look to get the support on the first pick and then save the top lane for the final. Try to get the counter matchup. Maybe they want to bait Cuvée into picking the Renekton himself.
The only reason you ban the Fiora here, it feels like Renekton versus Kled is what Samsung are opting into.
Okay.
If you ban Gnar on red side with first pick, definitely Renekton will be your first draft. We saw Smeb owning up the Rift yesterday, even in defeats on the Renekton. So will Cuvée just go for the Kled? The matchup kind of painted itself when you saw Fiora and Gnar banned away. So will be no surprises there if it is the Kled, but for now, they need something into the Orianna. For now, it will not be the Corki. I think in 2 weeks' time, Crown in this scenario will be picking Corki, but happy to jump onto the Victor, go to the late game team fights, and Kled almost certainly will be the draft from Samsung. Super, super standard from them.
Yeah, nothing but massive comfort here for the side of Samsung. Maybe if poor JJ had the Zyra for himself. Instead, Gorilla looking to maybe take that one for himself. He mentioned a pushing lane. Plenty of CC there as well. So it seems like this might just be the pick for them. But otherwise, the Victor coming through here for Crown, Gragas for Ambition. Samsung getting everything that they're perfectly comfortable with.
But you got to say, Longzhu also a very standard and also comfortable comp for them. Zyra is someone who can, in the laning phase, help the Jhin push, and in the late game fights, the charge comes in, you ult behind the Kled, and suddenly it's a Kled alone. You can focus him down, goes a DPS build, so it makes sense in the context of the draft. Really interesting to see comfort on both sides, even 10 bans down the line. And that means that really it's going to be on the better team to perform, and I think also the jungling performance, because Renekton does have that advantage over Kled early. When these teams have top lane priority, they very much often go on to win. And when Ambition has to try and mop up Cuvée when he's behind, he starts to make some of those Ambition solo missions that can really cost Samsung Galaxy. So my eyes are going to be on Ambition, on Comfort on the Gragas, because and Khan have done so much work in the top lane. This may very well be decided in that 2v2.
We'll see how the jungle matchup's going to go. Veteran versus rookie, because been looking better and better as time goes on, along with the rest of the Longzhu squad, netting themselves potentially into third place if they can come up with a victory here in this match. Let's see if they can do it as we go ahead and get ready to dive in for game number one. A great way to kick off the day, Samsung Galaxy versus Longzhu Gaming.